Say it louder, right? Make sure this is up. Okay. Well, welcome, everybody. We welcome you to this hearing. And first, we're going to look at a package of 7 bills to fight the scourge of opioids that's facing this city. And obviously, this is a tragedy occurring all over the state, all over the country. 3 of these bills codify anti-opioid efforts that we're already engaged in as a city. Intro 615A requires the Department of Health to distribute the overdose-reversal medication, naloxone, to syringe exchange programs. Intro 667A requires DSS and DHS to refer people in shelters who have received overdose reversal medication to additional medical care. Intro 668A mandates that the Department of Health establish trainings for the general public in the use of naloxone. Now, the next 3 bills encourage more reporting and transparency about opioids. Intro 623A requires the fire department to submit a report on naloxone usage by EMS. Intro 669A requires the Municipal Drug Strategy Advisory Council to include data on naloxone use in their reports. And Department of Health is already collecting this data. Intro 717A requires the NYPD to issue a report about officers administering naloxone. We also have a bill that will help increase awareness about opioids. Intro 618A requires the Department of Health to develop educational materials on the subject of opioids for distribution by Department of Education and Department of Youth and Community Development. That's the package related to opioids and how to address that crisis. We have one more piece of legislation also important for this city and will help us to make this a better city for New Yorkers and for their pets. Intro 401A mandates that there's a full-service animal shelter in every borough of this city. This is certainly a priority for our administration. We're actively pursuing sites right now in Queens and in the Bronx. I want to thank Speaker Corey Johnson, Health Commissioner Mary Bassett, DOE Chancellor Richard Carranza, Social Services Commissioner Steve Banks, DYCD Commissioner Bill Chong, NYPD Commissioner Jimmy O'Neill, Fire Commissioner Dan Nigro, and of course want to thank everyone who's been a part of the legislative process. Mark Levine, of course, Chair of the Committee on Health, Councilmember Andy Cohen, sponsor of Intro 623A, Councilmember Richie Torres, sponsor of Intros 667A, 668A, and 669A, and now my great pleasure to introduce the Chairman of the Committee on Health, Mark Levine.
Oh, wow. First up.
Yes.
My goodness.
I realize I had you before, so we're going to bring you up now.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. The mayor is so committed to the battle against opioid addiction and in support of animal welfare that he came clearly on a day he wasn't feeling well, and that means a lot to us. We thank you for that. I'm going to speak very, very briefly just on one of the bills, and my colleagues will speak on others, but I do want to celebrate the passage today of legislation that will enshrine in policy our commitment to having a full-service animal shelter in every one of the 5 boroughs. This has been a cherished goal of at least 3 generations of Vallones. It's amazing to see Speaker Vallone here. And I have to just salute Paul Vallone, who has been relentless on making this, getting this to the finish line. And it's going to help get us the kind of shelter system that the city deserves, a modern sheltering system, which is going to yield great benefits for animal welfare with larger, more advanced facilities for veterinary care and also services for pet guardians to help them keep animals in their homes. And this new facility, we believe, is also going to advance pet adoptions in Queens. It's going to be a wonderful, inviting place. And it's going to make it easier to quarantine sick animals, which also is good for the health of all of these wonderful, wonderful animals. So I'm thrilled to be celebrating the passage and the signing of this bill today. And once again, salute my colleagues, past and present, for making this happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Council Member. Now, my pleasure to introduce the Chair of the Committee on Mental Health and the sponsor of Intro 615A, and I'm proud to say this is her first piece of legislation that will be signed into law. That's always a great moment for every legislator. Councilmember Diana Ayala.
Wait, I don't want to bounce off of this, but good afternoon, everyone. My staff who's sitting in the back will tell you that they have been harassing me for months. Diana, when are you going to pass your first bill? It's a competition around here, but in all honesty, you know, it's very, what I said to them, and I will share with you, is that I've always said that when a bill is important enough, when an issue is important enough, it'll speak to you. And so that we should be, as legislators, we need to be very careful about just signing our names onto, you know, any piece of law. But this law was very, you know, important to me as a family member of individuals who suffer from substance abuse issues. We wanted to do whatever we could in whatever way we could do that legislatively to ensure that we were saving lives. And this bill, as the mayor pointed out, just codifies what the city has already been doing and has been doing really well. And so I'm really proud of it, and I'm proud of my colleagues for introducing, you know, a decent set of bills that are part of this package. And I'm just grateful to my staff for working so diligently, and I am sorry for not reading the brief that they prepared for me, but I wanted to just...
Very honest.
I do this to her all of the time, but it gives me the courage that I need, right, to stand here and to be able to speak from the heart, which I think is more genuine. And so this bill, again, for me and for many of the families that I represent in East Harlem and the South Bronx is personal. And so I am excited of, you know, that we're going to be able to save a bunch of lives. And so thank you so much for being here today, and thank you to my colleagues for the support.
Thank you, Councilmember. Congratulations to you. And now the sponsor of Intro 717A, Councilmember Jumaane Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and of course the chair for pushing these forward. My bill 717A will require the NYPD to report quarterly, as the mayor pointed out. It is a complement bill to Councilmember Cohen's bill that will require the FDNY to act accordingly, act similarly as well. I'm very proud that we're doing this whole package of legislation on opioids. I'm more proud that we are treating the people who need assistance with humanity, unlike people who need service and not criminality. I always want to make sure I point out at the same time, my hope is that there are lessons learned here, because there are communities that were not afforded the same humanity, even though the drug of choice may have been different. And there are communities who have people still in prison and criminal records who were not given the same service that we are now affording. And I hope we learn that lesson. Even as a Republican state senator in my borough mentioned that the difference is this is, quote unquote, not a ghetto drug. It is the drug of doctors. And so my hope is that we will see the clear disparity that is going on and treat substance abuse the same, irrespective of the community and the melanin in that community. So I'm proud of what we're doing here now. Hopefully that continues going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember. And now the sponsor of Intro 618A, also passing his first piece of legislation and getting it signed today, Councilmember Justin Brannan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I told my wife when I come home tonight, I'll officially be a lawmaker. She was not amused. I want to thank Mayor de Blasio, of course, and Speaker Johnson for supporting my very first bills as an elected official, and for joining me and my colleagues in fighting to protect New York City school students from the opioid epidemic. I'm proud we are addressing the lack of opioid education available to kids in our city, and I cannot be more grateful for your support. I sponsor these bills because the opioid epidemic is a real and present danger, and I know that when I was a kid in public school, they came around and taught us about crack cocaine and stuff like that and showed us what the drugs look like, and it certainly worked for me. So I think knowledge is power in these situations, and you can't underestimate peer pressure, just as you can't underestimate misinformation and disinformation. And hopefully if we standardize the information that's being disseminated to kids about the dangers of opioids and what to look for in your friends and that kind of stuff, we can save some lives. So very, very honored to be here today, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Congratulations. We have before us today an example of a family that's probably in the history of New York City, very, very few families can claim to have done more for this city over generations than the Vallone family. I think they are amongst the all-time leaders in the history of New York City, and it's been my joy to work with all the Vallones over the years. There must be another generation behind, so get ready. But it's a proud day to have two generations here together, and in a moment I know we're going to hear from someone I've had the honor of working with over many years, former Speaker Peter Vallone. But right now, we get to hear from the current generation, the sponsor of Intro 401A, Councilmember Paul Vallone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This one's for you, Mom. We did it. We did it. Mr. Mayor, your passion and dedication on this issue was so critical in getting us to today. Your commitment to getting this done is a true example of why we're here. To Speaker Corey Johnson, to our Health Chair, Councilmember Levine, and everyone here, thank you for standing with us, three generations of Vallones. Look out in the audience and see my dad, our very first Speaker of the City Council, my brother Perry. My mother just last night rescued another pregnant cat that came to her door. Somehow they always find their way to my mother's door, just like we do. And she saved another one, and with the litter that was there. So what we do today by mandating and promising and securing a full-service animal shelter in every borough is truly a first for this great city. And that is a legacy we can all be proud of. So the site selection and the funding, all of that is coming, but today to put it into law that universally was voted unanimously by the entire City Council, supported by this administration from day one when he came into office, shows the commitment to get this done. So this is a good day and a really good day. Thank you to all the advocates who are always there helping us, because sometimes these issues aren't easy, but when it comes to the animals, you would think that would be an easy one, and this really is important to get done. So I thank my Chief of Staff, Jonathan Schutt, for helping us guide us through, alleged directors Ahmed Nazar and Michael Young, who helped put this legislation together, and I'll reserve the rest of my time for my dad so he can talk on this, our first speaker.
Well, it's time for public testimony, so you are exactly right. Let's turn to former Speaker Peter Vallone, Sr. Please, right over there. Yeah.
I'm so used to being a council member, I want to stand with my colleagues.
You can come back, you know.
My congratulations to all of you, because you just proved what it took 17 years to prove with the United States Supreme Court, that an equal partner in government with a good mayor can accomplish an awful lot. So I want to thank you very, very much, all of you, and particularly the mayor and the people from ASPCA, since my wife just last night saved another brew of kittens. And what one woman can do, you must never, ever underestimate. She alone, on this one issue alone, put Vallones in a powerful situation here for almost 50 years, but for the fact that she loved animals so much. And as Toynbee says, and my wife repeated so often, the way you treat animals is the way you treat human beings. And the first decline of a civilization is cruelty to animals. Toynbee said that in the history of the world. My wife says that every day in my home. God bless all of you, and thank you very, very much, Mr. Mayor. And thank you. Congratulations, Paul. My first bill took 17 years to pass. Thank you.
Well done. Well done. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. And we thank you for the passion you always brought to all the work of public service, and you're showing it again today. I want to now call up, we have three more folks who have signed up for public testimony. Risa Weinstock of Animal Care Centers, Jane Hoffman, the Mayor's Alliance for New York City's Animals, and Matt Bershadker, I don't know if I'm saying that right, of the ASPCA.
I'm Risa Weinstock. I'm the CEO of ACC, and I just want to thank Mayor de Blasio and City Council, the Vallone family. I'm so humbled to be here because this has been decades in the making, and really, I think ACC has finally earned its place in New York City, where council and the mayor's office and the Vallones can feel really confident in the work that we're doing. This success has really been built with such partnership with the Mayor's Alliance, with the ASPCA, the Department of Health. your investment in ACC and your confidence in the work we're doing has really been transformative. And what we've been able to do is really transform who we are and what we do. And it's not just about adopting animals, but we are a service to all the communities, and we intend to be a service for people who don't have pets. Our mission is to end animal homelessness in New York City. However, we also aim to bring the joy of pet ownership to as many people as possible, to help people keep their pets. We know they're family members. People come on hard times, and we want to be there to support everyone. And we want to keep communities safe. So even if you don't have a pet, we're going to be that resource if you have an issue with animals in your neighborhood, or if you need low-cost services. We want to be that place. So we've really grown, and we've grown with all the hard work of all the people who came before ACC and certainly before me. And so I'm just really humbled and thrilled to be here. And thank you so much to City Council, to you, Mayor de Blasio, and to everybody else who's in this room who's really helped us get to the place that we are today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm so excited about this, I actually had to write it down. For the past 15 years, the Mayor's Alliance for New York City's Animals and its participating organizations have worked to improve the lives and outcomes of New York City's homeless animals, with a focus on working with and supporting New York City's animal care centers. On behalf of the Alliance, I'd like to thank Councilmember Paul Vallone and the other council sponsors for introducing and passing Intro 401A. By requiring full-service shelters in every borough, this law will allow all New Yorkers to access important resources and service in their home boroughs. Mayor de Blasio, since he took office, has tirelessly championed animal welfare in New York City, and we thank him today for the progress that we've already made and for what is to come, which I know is going to be very exciting. So by signing this bill into law today, Mayor de Blasio is moving us a step closer to achieving a long sought-after goal, which will provide lasting benefits for New York City's pet owners, their companion animals, and for all animals who will enter ACC's animal care centers. Thank you,
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Mayor.
Thank you so much.
So my name is Matt Brashatker. I'm the president and CEO of the ASPCA, and as my team knows, I'm a bit of a born skeptic. And when we first started hearing about this, I said, that's great, let's see what happens. And I am so humbled and so glad to be proven wrong on this issue. And I thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thank you, Chairman Levine, Councilmember Vallone, Speaker Vallone. Thank you for your tireless effort. As some of my colleagues had said, bringing full-service animal shelters to the entire city is, in my view, a basic municipal service, and it puts New York on the map now as one of the most progressive communities in our country, which I am incredibly proud of. I also want to say that when we provide appropriate services for animals, we're healing communities, we're helping people too, and we're making our entire city a healthier place, a friendlier place, a kinder place, which I think in this environment goes a very, very long way. So again, I am so glad to have been wrong, and I will stand by everyone in this room to make today's bill come into action, and the ASPCA pledges its full resources to that end. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Excellent. You are the first public testifier to be glad to be wrong that I can remember, so we'll take it. Before I sign these pieces of legislation, just a quick summary of what we're covering today in Spanish. Hoy hemos firmado 8 proyectos de ley. Los primeros 7 se ocupan de nuestra respuesta a la crisis de los opioides. Codifican nuestros esfuerzos que ya están en marcha, crean más transparencia en los informes sobre nuestros esfuerzos y requieren crear y distribuir materiales educativos. El último requiere que haya un refugio para animales en cada condado. With that, let's sign these bills. Diana, you are first. Speaker. Come, please. He's been through it before. He's like, that's right. It wore off. The novelty wore off a while ago. That's right. Look, I'm good. Agree on the first one? quickly enough for you?
That's fine.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for what you did. Okay. Justin.
Need a couple extra.
Very good. Running joke. Okay. How many leave? Three. Three lives. Congratulations. Call it that's the lawmaker round. No. Jim, how many? Done. You can up your busy. Welcome. One each is good. This one. Found a way to respect the process. The higher quality. This one's worth being here. First pen. Yes. All right. Not letting if I find out you used it, sending the NYPD over to the I like the visual photographer there. They have many skills. All right, everybody ready? Right. First pen is for Tina Malone, guaranteed. Correct. You're not distributed. was 15 years ago, I'm president. How am I doing on numbers? Yeah.
As far as people on Sunday.
That's right.
One more right here.
It's always fine. Okay. Does anyone else? Good. Speak now or for a all these bills now law. Congratulations, everyone. And this hearing is now adjourned. Well done.